Today, we're talking about a pretty cool topic. It's also a pretty new topic to the online space. It's something that I haven't really heard very much about until really when COVID hit. I feel like people were talking about it in the online space a lot more. And that is this concept of social selling, which is essentially selling through the DMs instead of via like sales calls, but not in a invading or sleazy way. And I'm very interested in this topic. So I thought, who can I bring on to talk about this topic and about selling more of our stuff, our digital products, through social selling? And that meant I brought on my friend Lattice Hudson. Lattice is a business coach, leadership mentor, and social sales expert. And Lattice is on a mission to help women make more money, increase their impact, all while living a life that they love. And she says in quotes, "A woman with wealth is a woman with power." And clearly, she is someone after my own heart. We have a very, very similar mission. We are very passionate about helping women achieve more wealth. And we talk a lot about that. We talk about her business journey, which is so fascinating, and how fast she has grown. And she's just really amazing. So let's dive in and listen to what she has to say. You are listening to the Empowered Business Podcast. I'm your host, Monica Froese, a mom of two and your secret weapon to creating a six-figure digital product business. I'm on a mission to help 1,000 women make $100,000 a year. That's right, $100 million towards financial independence for women. As an online business expert, I am teaching you everything I know right here week after week, so you can join us on the journey to $100 million. Sound good? Then let's jump in. Lattice, welcome to the Empowered Business Podcast. I'm really excited to have you today.
Thanks, Monica. I'm so excited to be here.
I've wanted to connect with you forever. I was telling you before we started recording. And so I'm super excited because we're going to talk about a topic that I know nothing about, but I'm super interested in it. And I know you're like really good at it. So I'm excited to dive in and talk all about it. But before we get started, I'd love to know more about your entrepreneurial journey, how you started, and what you're doing today.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I started entrepreneurship really back in like 2016, 2017. I was working in corporate America, not feeling super fulfilled. My background's in HR management. So at the time I was working for Lowe's as an HR manager, and then I got another position and I became a regional HR manager for a different company. So I was really, really busy, but I was super unfulfilled. I was like looking outside of my corporate window being like, on paper, it looks like I have the dream. I had a six-figure job at 24. I had the company car. I had all the things at a really young age, but I just was like so unfulfilled. So back in 2017, I actually got pretty sick. So I was out of work for a couple of months on paid leave, and I got the desire to like make more money. I was like, why not figure out how to make more money? I'm already getting paid, right? So how can I figure out making more money? So I created I had a car rental business, like peer-to-peer car sharing, kind of like Airbnb for cars. I did that for a while, really loved it. It worked really well on the side, but ultimately in 2018, I kind of was like fed up with my corporate job. So I ended up quitting my corporate job in September 2018, had like $15,000 in the bank account. And I was like, well, we're going to figure it out. So I left my corporate job and I had my peer-to-peer car business. I had my Amazon e-com business and I was running that. I was making like 5 to 8K a month. We were doing pretty good there, but again, I was still unfulfilled, right? Like that's the topic. That's the general conclusion we get from our corporate jobs, at least that I had.
Me
so
too.
I went, yeah, right. So I went to a conference in like February 2019 with like all these car rental people. And I was just like, this is great. But when I'm like 30 years old, do I want, or 35 or 40, like, do I see myself like renting out cars and selling stuff on Amazon? No, I don't. So at the time I had a business mentor and she was like, because I was trying to transition into coaching. And she's like, Lattice, you have to go all in on one. Like you can not be back and forth. You're half in, you're half out. You need to pick one. So she basically not forced me, but was like, you need to get rid of your other businesses because I had like my LLC and all that. So it was pretty legit and official, but I was like, okay, I got to go all in. So I ended up like liquidating my cars, liquidating all my inventory, and jumped full feet in May 2019 as a business coach. So that's kind of like a little bit of the backstory, how I kind of got started into coaching. So,
And who do you help with your coaching?
yeah. So back when when I first transitioned full time, I was working with side hustlers, like helping them create an additional, side hustle on the side of their corporate job, because that was my experience. So that's kind of how I started.
Okay. Okay. So you have a high ticket program now, right? Is
I
that
do.
that's your like core offer?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And how is that positioned?
Yeah. So throughout the transition, I ended up deciding that I really loved working with like leaders, high performers. So that's kind of why I transitioned over to working with coaches specifically, because I had coached in corporate and I was like, this is a natural progression. So essentially, how we have it positioned today in 2021 is we really help our clients create high end group coaching programs and get out of like that one-to-one work. So that's kind of what we do.
Okay. And through the high ticket, that's when you started doing this concept of social selling. Is this really when that?
Yeah. So honestly, since I started my business, I was doing quote unquote social selling without really calling it that. Like a lot of people call it like appointment setting or conversations or what have you. But I've been doing that since the beginning of my business because I didn't know how to do ads or funnels. I just knew how to talk to people. And that's how I grew my business like initially.
So how do you define social selling?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I think about social selling, it really is the art of like connecting and having conversations, whether it's like setting an appointment, like a call, or getting them to apply to work with us inside of our program, and then ultimately converting them in the DMs or in another form of like if you're sending them to a checkout page or what have you. So it's really about having those conversations and connecting in the DM.
Okay. So when I think of social selling and the way it's positioned out there right now, I think about it always being in the DM. Like
Yeah.
whether it's Facebook or Instagram, those are the two main ones, right? Where you would be able to reach people. Do you
Yeah.
friend people first? Because and I saw that you said this and it just really blew my mind. You said it's easier to close people essentially on Facebook than it is on Instagram, which
Yeah.
hi, that's against, I think, everything I've heard.
Mhm.
Probably you would agree, right? That what people are
Yeah.
saying. And even like, I think Facebook, everything changes. I feel like every time I log in, I'm pretty sure now if you get a message request, it doesn't go to like an other folder. It actually is in your main list, but it will say like, am I like making that up? You don't really have to friend
No.
people anymore, I don't think.
You really don't, but for the algorithm, it's important that you do have that mutual connection because you don't want to get flagged like as spam. But even now, like they're showing up in your actual newsfeed message requests. It's really kind of creepy, but it's showing up that way now.
Oh, I have
So
not had that happen yet.
yeah. So yeah, Facebook has like 200 like versions of it going at all times. So everybody's Facebook looks different all the time. So yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty crazy.
So
So
let's like play this through. Your ticket, your program has an application, right?
yes, we do
Okay.
now. Yes. We used to do
So
calls though. We did used to do calls
you did calls. Okay. So
before.
you would now you pre-qualify through an application, but you used to pre-qualify with a sales call pretty much. Like you would see if it was a
Yeah.
right fit on a sales call.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Typical. Hmm.
So now you have like a baseline of people that you accept to then, and I know this because we're in the same program that teaches this. So then you accept their pre-application, so they're qualified, then do you send them to the automated webinar to like understand what the value of the program is, what the program's about. Okay. So
Yeah,
now
we
they
do.
watched that. Now
Hmm.
it's time. Now you have to close the sale, which is essentially
Yeah.
where the social selling comes in.
Exactly. So in my business, I've been doing this for a long time. So we actually do it multiple different ways, but the gist of it, how high ticket hybrid teaches it, is that type of funnel. And then ultimately, after they've watched the webinar, you can handle objections, answer questions in the DM, and then the client can check out like straight in the DM, which is really cool.
Right.
How we do it in our business though, before high ticket hybrid, like I said, I've been doing this for a while. Our primary funnel, we leverage Facebook groups. So we always have social selling going on in the back end with engaged people inside of our Facebook group. There's two parts to it. So for our social sellers, one of their KPIs is to get applications. So to get people to apply. And then the other KPI is sales. So there's two different aspects to our social selling inside of our program or inside of our business. So
for anyone who doesn't know, KPIs is key performance Indicators.
Indicator.
Yeah,
Yes.
I am always like, wait, which one is that?
Yeah.
This is, I feel like we're back to corporate speak a little bit. Like the
Yeah.
KPIs make me, and
Yeah.
MBOs, monthly business objectives, they make me dream of my corporate days.
Yeah.
But they're
Right.
very important. I mean, we have goals in our business too. You have to, especially if you have team members, you got to hold people accountable. Okay. So this is actually very interesting. Oh, I have, okay, questions here. So
Yes.
you're bringing people, you have a free Facebook community then.
We do. Yeah.
Okay. So to you, that's your lead gen pool.
That's like about 60 to 70% of our lead gen is our Facebook group.
Okay. So while they're in the free Facebook group, so when you say social sellers, you're talking about actual people that you employ that are doing these outreaches for you.
Correct. Yeah. So we have a good like starting point. So there's 3 questions you can ask on your Facebook group for entry. And like one of our questions is like, hey, do you want us to send you a DM to learn more about how to work with us? Essentially. And that all goes to a spreadsheet. We sort it. We have a whole database. And then our social sellers go in every day and like they sort that and they start outreach that way. So that's like our first line of like quote unquote defense of like generating applications. So that's the first line. And then we'll start like after they've gone through their list for the day, then they'll go in the group and look who's been engaging with my content, my live video, etc. So yeah, that's how we start our cold. Like they're not really super cold. They're like they're like cool leads, but that's how we kind of start the conversations.
That's genius. No one's ever told me about this before. Like,
oh yeah.
I think this is the first time I've ever heard it done this way. Like that is
really?
so smart. That is so smart. Well, I guess this is why you teach it, right? Because
exactly.
You're so good at this. Okay. Oh my gosh. I never would even have thought of actually asking that. And you've asked them permission. So they're actually expecting now that they're going to be outreach to. So it's not like one of these like spammy kind of feeling outreaches. Right.
Exactly.
Oh, so why do you prefer the outreach on Facebook versus Instagram?
Yeah, so there's a couple of reasons. So for us specifically, our biggest lead gen is on Facebook. And we find that on Facebook, people are already there for connection and community because that's what Facebook's built off of. Instagram is really built off of aesthetics, photography. Like it is there for education, but we find that for, especially selling high ticket, people need to be nurtured. They need to see you more than one time. So on Facebook, we just find that since we do have a free Facebook group, it's just been a lot easier to convert at a higher rate because they're seeing our content over and over again. So we have a pretty high close rate because our people know, like, and trust us, and they're listening to us. So they're just waiting to work with us at any given level. So we just love Facebook for that reason.
Okay. So when your social sellers reach out, this is the other thing. And I feel like a lot of people probably wonder this as well, because I've seen people have team pages for their team because your brand is you. Like your website is LatticeHudson.com, right? So
yes.
And mine's MonicaFrost.com. So like you are your brand. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to be, whether it's in the pre-phase or the selling phase after they've gone through and, shown interest and applied, who reaches out? Is it their own Facebook account? Do they create unique Facebook accounts? Like, I want to know this.
Yeah, there's so many different, I get asked this question all the time, like how to handle that. So it ultimately is up to you, but we find that people are a lot more to connect when it's being outreach from my profile because it's built up, they know the name, etc. It's kind of difficult to be like, I know other programs teach like, and even our own program that we're in teach like having your team create a separate account. So we only have like 2 social sellers right now. We don't really need any more than that. They use my account, but they reach out as themselves. It's not like me reaching out and like them pretending. They say, hey, so-and-so, it's so-and-so from Lattice's team. And that's been really, really instrumental for our people to see like what's possible for them as they go out and do this themselves. So yeah.
Okay. So it's actually your personal Facebook profile.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. But they'll say it's like Maddie from Latisse's team reaching out. They won't ever pretend to be me.
That might be where people have the hang up. Like I think, oh man, I've had my Facebook account since 2004 and who knows? Like it feels more like my life than, and to think about turning that over is an interesting, like I probably wouldn't do it. to be honest.
Yeah, no, a lot of people like have resistance to it. And this is what I say, like for me, like social media is a business. Like I use it for business. I don't really, if I didn't have a business online, I probably wouldn't have social media. So for me, I'm indifferent on it.
Okay.
But a lot of people will start like different, like new accounts as themselves and use that to communicate with their prospects and leads.
In any given week, how many DM conversations would you say are going on?
Probably 75 to 100 active that are going on.
Wow. And so you have
Yeah.
to obviously track these. How many
Yeah.
tracking points do you have and where do you do all this tracking?
So we do all of our tracking in Google Sheets and Airtable, and I don't track it. My team tracks it. Like the social sellers are responsible, but a lot of it's automated. So we use something called group leads to automate everybody coming over from our Facebook group. So that's usually our biggest touch points is people that are already in our group. So all that gets like automated over to Airtable, and then our team is tracking all of the multiple touch points that they have with each lead inside of Airtable. Yeah. So we have different statuses and things like that.
So when their KPIs are to get people to, so the actual first thing they have to do is they have to get people to apply. And that is like a certain number that they need. Do both your social sellers cover both ends of this? Or okay, they do.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, they're like full range. They have to be able to do it all.
And what's like the lead time from, okay, someone signs up for your Facebook group. They said, yeah, come DM me.
Yeah.
To close. Do you have like an average of how long it takes to close?
It just depends. I mean, it really depends on person. I haven't calculated like the averages, but we've had people close in 48 hours from finding me from an ad to being like, oh my God, I love Lattice, and us reaching out, watching the training and being like, okay, like I'm signing up. I'll pay you 5 figures.
Okay. That's an interesting thing then. So let's talk about lead gen. I mean, obviously people have to get to this group somehow. So
Absolutely.
how are you getting them there?
Yeah. So we literally run like a really simple Facebook ad to a landing page on the, like it's telling them to join our free group. Like, hey, you're going to get trainings, exclusiveness, blah, 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 all that fun jargon. And then we're literally like add to a landing page. On the landing page after they opt in, on that thank you page, it's like click here to join the group. They get into the group, and then we just nurture the heck out of them with all of our content. So that's literally, we just use Facebook ads to get people into our Facebook group. That's it.
Your play is cold traffic.
Yeah, we do. When I started growing my Facebook group, originally it was organic. Like we leverage other Facebook groups, etc. But now I'm at the point where we have a marketing budget. So we do spend, a good amount, about mid 4 figures on Facebook ads every month.
Do you have an email list?
I do. Yeah. It's about 4,500 right now. It's not super big.
So your priority when they come from the ad is not email, it's the group.
It is. So we do have email sequence in the back end, but our priority is the nurturing inside of DMs and in the Facebook group and in our content. So yeah. That's how we do it. Yeah.
This is so different. I feel like it's so unique compared to just like what you hear about selling online. And like, it's not like, this is not like what we learn in high ticket. You are right. This is very unique I would never even have thought of this. How did it even come about? Just organically, like through trial and error?
Definitely. Cause I really the goal with our Facebook group, it's like a hub. So we primarily sell one thing, our high ticket, but at any given time, like this week, we're doing a flash sale on intensives, or we sometimes can sell a $99 workshop. So for me, it's about creating different leverage. And that's why our Facebook group is so powerful, because they are nurtured so well. So I know not everybody coming in my Facebook group is going to buy my 5-figure thing. But when I do run like hey, here's a $99 workshop, I can get 50 signups in 5 minutes because people love me. So community for me is so important, and email list is great. And we obviously have one, we leverage it, but like my people just love that connection. And that's how I've built my brand. So I thrive on that. And I love showing up for my people. So it's been really instrumental to us inside of our business.
What kind of content in the Facebook group are you putting out?
Yeah. So most of the content I put out, I call it like mindset shifting content. So it's talking about, it's like, and we talk tactical, like we'll do a how-to type of live stream. I only do like 1 to 2 live streams a week. One is usually like, we call it an anchor live stream. We do it every Monday at 9 a.m. And then my team is actually going to start doing those, like supporting me, the coaches. So I'm starting to delegate content creation too, but we do that live stream that gets emailed out, texted out. Like that's our big hoorah for the week. And then usually like I do daily walks. I'm out like doing, I call it walking chats with Lattice. And it's really giving them all like a kick in the butt to go take action on whatever they need to. But we have like 7 to 10 brand pillars that I create content around. And we just rotate through that every single week inside of our live stream. So it's like, it's always like exactly what they need when they need to hear it. And it's about wherever they're at along the journey. And it always ties back to our high ticket program, like what we teach, some of their biggest objections. We talk about money and debt and all the things to get them to take the next step. So that's really what I focus on, is shifting their belief from where they're at to what's possible.
So it also seems like you don't have necessarily a traditional product ladder either, because
No.
the only thing that sounds like it's open all the time is to apply for your high ticket.
That's it. Yeah, we keep it really simple.
So
Super simple.
when you, I see that, which is, do I admire? I honestly don't even know how many digital products I've launched over the last 5 years. I estimated it's about 75.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. Our back end. And I'm a very type A organized person. So our back end is actually creepingly, if that's a word, organized, but overwhelming to say the least. Yeah. And probably I've simplification for years. And so when I talk to people like you, I'm like, wait, this sounds so much easier than what I've been doing.
And it's so funny because we're about to launch our mastermind. So we'll have a second tier because I have clients like begging for like, let's see what's next. But although like one of my clients just posted in our group today, she started, our program is, it was 6 months, it's 12 months now, but she started with us a year ago next week. She just hit her first 6 figures, like just crossed 100K in sales. So it's really beautiful where we just pour in our attention, we get our clients results. And for me, like at least how I work, I don't know if you guys know human design, but I'm a projector. So I have like low energy. So for me, having too many products and programs would be overwhelming. So I just choose to keep it really simple and pour all in. And we're about to launch the mastermind, which I'm really excited about. But now I have a bigger team. So I have that support to be able to do like the next level.
I have a question about the mastermind, but before I ask that, how many people are on your team?
We have 7 people on our team right now. But we're looking for 2 more full-time coaches currently too for the mastermind.
Wow. So. And is this payroll?
Yes. Yeah. People are on. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So we have 1 full-time employee and then the rest are contractors, but
okay.
Yeah. But the 2 new coaches will be employees. So, which is really exciting.
Isn't that exciting? Oh, I think employees are.
It's been scary, but we're here. My background's HR and I'm like scared about hiring employees for my business. I have been, but it's necessary. So.
Yeah, it really is. It's really interesting because, contracting is, in essence, it's low commitment, essentially.
It is. Oh, yeah.
But the loyalty, it's not that you can't get loyal contractors. I'm not trying to say that, but it's when you're paying someone on payroll, their commitment to your business is vastly different than a contractor. And I think that the fear of hiring gets in a lot of people's way, but I think we probably could agree if you're going to grow $1 million brand, you're not doing it on your own with contractors for the most part. I mean, there are outliers, but if you really want to have like an impactful team, I hear Mariah say it. She says, like the business isn't even just hers anymore. It's her team wakes up, just as excited about their success. And it's just not about her anymore. It's not her business. It's the team's business. And that's like the collective power of growing. So
especially as a small business, because they can see their direct impact. Like your direct work is literally going to impact our bottom line or our top line or whatever. It literally will impact it from the work that you do. And it's a really cool, it's really cool to look at and see like the progression over time happen really quickly. So
yeah, my operations manager just asked me. So I'm very transparent. I share numbers with her and everything, but I'm not necessarily consistent with sharing numbers.
Yeah.
Not from I do the numbers consistently, but it just, sometimes it doesn't occur to me. And so, sometimes I'll be like, oh man, this month is a little soft, and she'll start getting nervous. And then the other day I just pulled up the spreadsheet showing her the numbers. And it calmed her right down. She's like, I think you need to do this for me monthly. And I'm like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. We should totally do this monthly so that we're all like, it seems so obvious now that she said it, to like goal towards the same thing. But, you don't know what you don't know. So you just kind of learn as you go.
Absolutely. Yeah. We talk numbers every week in our team meetings, like just top line, like sales and things like that. Me and my ops director will talk more in detail, but the whole team knows where we're at every step of the way, every week. So they know what they need to do.
That's
so it works
so
really well.
smart. Okay.
We did it in corporate, so it works.
In all this, I did in corporate too. So like why, I think I waited too long to hire personally. That was a big fault of mine. And I just did it by myself for so long that it's like getting out of it's like reprogramming myself that, maybe other people want to know about this on the team.
Yeah.
I should share this information. So I'm trying to get better at that. And it's good that she'll call it out and be like, tell me. Thank you.
Right. I love that.
Okay. I have more questions. And the first one I have is this differentiation between a high ticket group coaching program and the mastermind.
Yeah.
People interchange, I know, people interchange these terms. And even to the degree that I will say, thinking about where I would draw the line between what is group coaching and what I would offer in a mastermind, even though I understand like what the difference is, how I would structure it seems like it'd be difficult. So first, can you like differentiate how you see the difference between group coaching and a mastermind? And then like, it's a step ladder. Like you expect them to go through group coaching first to your mastermind, or how do you plan on that working?
Yeah, that's such a good question because we're literally going through it right as we speak. So I'd love talking about this because I just got massive clarity last weekend on it. Perfect. So for us, like our high ticket group coaching program is really like, for me personally, it's going to be the go-to like for you to be able to scale your business to at least $500,000 a year. Like that's what that's going to be. So we have different tiers like inside of our main program, Elevate to Success. That's our main program. So you can have people that are brand new, but really willing to be high achievers and like go after it. And then also people that are really wanting to implement more of the tactics, like so the social selling, the funnels, the ads, things like that. So 2 to 3 different types of people can come into our group coaching program. And as a very like specific curriculum that they go through. And there's not any like one-to-one access to me as the CEO. Now, when I think about our mastermind, the difference, what that's going to look like, there's going to be more advanced type of trainings. There's going to be guest experts. There's going to be some in-person events, and it's not going to have such a rigid curriculum. It really is going to be like masterminding and brainstorming and like a lot of like hot seat coaching. And they also will get access to me like once a quarter for a one-to-one call. So that's kind of what that'll look like. It'll still be structured with some group, like with group calls every week with our coaching team, but they'll also have access to me. So that's kind of what our envisionment is for our program. And it's not going to be necessarily that you have to go through our first level, but most of our mastermind clients will have gone through our first level program.
And will you do in-persons with this?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll host like 1 to 2 events a year. I haven't decided on the number yet, but we'll do some like in-person retreats. And that's going to be like really cool to kind of do more. It's going to be a lot more structured, like kind of like a VIP day, but for like a mini group. So that'll be kind of what that'll look like.
You'll have like an actual agenda and
exactly
all that.
Yeah.
Stuff. You did recently do a retreat.
Yeah.
And I was jealous. I was following along.
It was so fun.
I want to be there. So were those people in your group coaching, or was this something you sold one off to your Facebook community essentially?
Yeah. So it was my first ever in-person event. And people were like, that was your first one. I'm like, yes, that was my first time ever. So we actually included it this first year. We'll never do that again, but we did just include it because that was my own ego being like, I want to make sure it's good enough. But honestly, people were like, why didn't you charge for this? But yeah, it was my first time, but it was all clients. So current Elevate to Success clients. So yeah, we had about 25 clients come in all across the US. So it was so cool.
That I really feel like in person is something I've wanted to do for a long time. And I probably like COVID put a wrench in it, and then I kind of sidelined it again and stuff. I did really large scale events in corporate, and I've always attended events in the business too. And I thought it's always been a game changer is to go out, meet people in person. I think it's even more impactful when you're meeting people that are in the same program because you have this common ground. Yeah. And you just take something that like people are already forming relationships by the nature of a group coaching program, but then you take them in real life and in person, and it just changes the entire atmosphere.
Oh
And
yeah. It's insane.
so
Like I've never seen anything like it before.
do you think that then, like, how do you envision if you do retreats that are not mastermind specific, like how will you open it up beyond group coaching so people pay? Is that, yeah.
Yeah. So because I wanted to really get our first one out of the way. So now like the first Elevate retreat's done. I feel good about it. We got nothing but great feedback. Sold a couple of VIP days on the back end. So that was really awesome. But now when I think about like the non-specific, because we'll do much, because that was a large scale like event, like private chefs, catered events, like party buses. Like it was literally insane what I did for these. My clients, they were obsessed with it and so grateful. But when I think about the mastermind events, it won't be as like, it'll be still luxury, but not as like big a scale. But when I think about this annual like Elevate retreat, my envisionment for it is for it to be clients they can like upsell into it. And then also for the specific like speaking, because we did have like conference portion, I do want to outsell like those tickets to kind of get people into our ecosystem that want to come for that.
So you can sell the high ticket while they're there.
Exactly. So I'm going to be learning how to sell from the stage.
I was just going to say that, sell from the stage. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a thing. Selling from the stage is probably the scariest thing in my opinion. That is.
I'm really nervous. That was only my second time public speaking at my event. The first time was only like a month prior at my friend's event. I had never public spoke before. Like I did it in corporate all the time, but
right, which is different.
Training, just did it. Yeah.
Yeah. I did it all the time in corporate too. I mean, I did big boardroom presentations in corporate.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, when it's your own business, it's a whole different level of like terrifying.
Oh, 100%. Cause you're like, I'm riding on all of this. And it's like, they love you anyway. So I think that's kind of why we kept it like clients only, and it went off with like at a hitch. So pretty proud.
Do you ever, I'm sure you do, because I do, but maybe not. Do you ever like sit back and be like, this is my life now?
Yes, I did. Okay. I did. When we were on the party bus specific, because we had a party bus to take us to Topgolf, I was like, I'm literally like riding in a party bus right now, like with my clients. And I started this like just a couple years ago from my bedroom out of pure like frustration with my life. And there was a lot of tears and a lot of, I can't do this, but I literally made it happen. Like I only started my business like just a couple years ago. So which happens really quick.
It's really, to me, incredible to build something from nothing. Like there was no basis for it. We just like built something out of nothing. And
it's like, poof, it's here now.
Yeah.
And like the thoughts I had, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's literally here. And I was talking and envisioning it. And I'm like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but it will. And like, and one of my clients, he was a one-to-one client that actually ended up coming like from 2019. She was one of my one-to-one. She was like, I remember you talking about this retreat, and like, it's literally here today. So it was just, it's like a complete, like, oh my gosh.
It's like, when you're going through it, it feels like it can feel really heavy, and you know, all the mindset traps that come up. But when you look back, it's like, well, that really wasn't that long. I can't believe how, once you get the snowball, I tell my students this all the time. I'm like, online business is just a gigantic snowball. I mean, in the beginning, it feels really hard from the sense that like, you don't think anyone's listening. Nobody really cares. But when that snowball gets going, it goes so fast that 2 years go by and you look back and you're like, how is this my life right now?
And where did the time go? I'm like, I literally was just like crying on my bedroom floor, like about having to spend $1,500 on a new laptop, like, and not knowing where I was going to get the money to like, yeah, I mean, we're doing like almost 6-figure months. So it's pretty insane.
Yeah. We had our first 6-figure month and I was like, whose life is this right now? Like how? Because I remember I quit my corporate job in beginning of 2016. Okay. And my husband and I had a big butting of heads about, I was very primed to take on contract work if I wanted to, but I didn't want to. And I kept telling him, I'm going to build a brand and it's going to be beyond our, like, we can't even, I mean, at the time, you know, when you come from corporate and a regular paycheck, you can't comprehend what a $30,000, $40,000 a month looks like. That seems so, I mean, I get it from his perspective. He's like, okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
While you're turning down these $3,000 contracts for us to pay our bills, you know, and I'm like, no, I'm building a brand and it's going to be a thing. And now like it's like whiplash because we look back and we're like, how did this happen? You know, but
seriously,
it's in, you know, people, I know it's so easy to look at where people are instead of like the journey they had to go on. And so, and then they give up, right? Like, I'm sure you see a lot of people that give up in the beginning because they're like, wait,
Yeah.
I'm not like you. And it's like, yeah, but this, even though it seems like it could have it happened overnight, it didn't. It's like, you have to stick with it.
Yeah, you absolutely have to stick with that. Even like I've seen some of my clients that came in and just have wanted to have given up and maybe come back a few months later, but it's just like you just have to stick with it, and I promise it's gonna get easier. I think it's funny how you mentioned your husband's like okay, like about hitting $30,000-$40,000 months. It's funny because a couple of weeks ago I was talking to my friends. I was like, oh yeah, we just just spent a couple thousand on ads, so nothing too big. She was like, you spent a what on ads? Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh yeah, I forget. Like, I have to like talk regular and not in business online speak.
Yeah, because it's mind bending. My sister, this time last year, she's a physical therapist and she really wants to take. She's just burned out, which I don't blame her. She's got 5 kids. Her life is
Oh wow,
got a
yeah,
busy life, and she can help so many more people on the internet. She just can. And so we were going through my P&L, and she was getting a little sick. She's like, but just imagine if you kept all this money for yourself. I'm like, but then I wouldn't be where I am. Like, you have to, it is really hard in the beginning to understand that you do have to spend money for momentum. But she's
yes,
like, but what if you just had less contractors? Like, look how much more money you bring home. I'm like, yeah, but how many more hours would I be working, and how much more stress would be on my plate? And then I wouldn't be as productive because I'd be so stressed. You can't. And so it is, when you talk to people who are not in this world, and you talk about like these, what seems like big numbers, but in
yeah.
essence, it's just, that's how you grow. You have to spend money to make money.
Yeah, like it's a business. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
drop, multiple 5 figures on my team every month. It's normal. Like, it's all good.
Yeah. I mean, I like, now I'm so glad I did this interesting at the end of last year when I was thinking about hiring. I did this interesting projection expense. So my master's is in finance.
Oh yeah.
I oddly do like numbers, I will say. So I built this like projection spreadsheet where every $100,000, like if our run rate is in $100,000 increments, increasing, how much we can spend percentage wise on team and everything, and like how that changes is really nerdy of me. But it was really fun because then I could sit back and say, okay, well, when we're at a run rate of 800,000, we can have 3 full-time team members. And when we hit 1 million, we can have 4. And it's like, it's so, when you look at the numbers like that, it helps you not to be nervous about spending the money, because it's just math.
It
Honestly,
is just
business is
math.
just math.
Yeah, just the numbers and the
Yeah.
data. That's why I love using paid traffic to grow, because it's literally like, no, $1 in, $8 to $10 out, or whatever the number
Right.
is. So yeah,
And
it's beautiful.
if you look at the numbers, then there's nothing to get, like, I was trying to explain that to her. I'm like, when I look at the numbers, I don't get nervous about what we're spending because I know what the return is at that level.
Right. Mhm.
And if you don't know that, yes, then you might be nervous about
Yeah,
spending
you might
money.
be freaking out a little bit, but
Yeah.
and I talk to my clients about that all the time. It's like we just have to look at the data. Literally, we have to look at the data,
It's
and it
like,
calms them down for like a second, and they're back to spewing. But we get them under control,
I know that feeling all too well.
right?
Okay, so last question for you, because this is what you're good at. Well, you're good at a lot of things, but social selling. I'm going to bring it back to social selling, which is, if someone wants to hire someone on their team, like they're listening and they're like, I never thought about DMing people and closing sales this way and not getting on 1 million sales calls, because I don't know, I don't like sales calls either personally. So how do you even find a social seller? Is this like a job description that exists now? Like, where,
Yeah.
how does this work?
I think so. The term is like so new. It used to be really called like appointment setting. One of the like more formal terms for like high ticket closers, like on a sales call. So I like to look at people that are familiar with like high ticket closing, high ticket digital marketing, online business. What I found is that people that are like teachers, retail, anybody that hospitality, those are the best people for this type of job. And it's really about like painting a really good picture of what's going to be entailed in the job. Like, at base, like you have to love to talk to people, because if you don't love to talk to people, you're going to hate your life as a social seller. So you have to love to talk to people. And I think that's a really big quality. The other thing I look for is people that are willing to not push the bounds, but like willing to go there, essentially, because you have to handle people's BS, right? You've got to help them get out of their objections, get out of their stories. So you have to be willing to also coach inside of the DM. So I find that even coaches are really good fits for social selling, which is probably why I was like so good at it. So those are some of the top qualities that I look for. As far as like finding a social seller, you posting a job description for a social seller is probably not going to bring people in. So I really like to phrase it as like, kind of phrasing it under like digital marketing or high ticket closing or sales representative, and then kind of explaining that in like the interview process. And then people kind of start to fall in love with like, oh my gosh, like I get to hang out on Instagram or Facebook all day, sign me up. So that's how we've done it. And it's been working really well.
Okay. And when you ask people they're going into your Facebook group, if you can DM them, do you ask if you can DM them on Facebook or Instagram, or you just default to Facebook?
Just Facebook, because they're already there. So
okay. Mm-hmm. Do you personally, like when you're engaging on social media outside of your group, is it primarily on Instagram?
Engaging outside of my group, the other platform, yeah, we do use Instagram. I have a pretty good size audience over there, so we do definitely give a lot of attention over there too.
Is it structured?
Not as much over on Instagram. It's a lot more free flowing for now.
Or like you just showing up when you.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can go to Instagram. We divided it out, and I'm letting my team. I'm like, I treated my Instagram, even my business one, as like a lifestyle one. I'm like, like my sister-in-law messages me on here. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird to like turn that over to my team. Just how I felt about Facebook too. So we divided it out. But for me on Instagram, I just felt like I couldn't show up unless it was because I wanted to. I just couldn't bring myself to do it for money.
That's how I feel about Instagram too. But we just had our marketing assistant take over, and we're batching content for now. I think I was telling you that earlier, but yeah, so it's getting much more like the aesthetic is changing and all of that, because we have like 13,000 like organic grown followers over there. So it definitely, we do get clients from there here and there. So we're just going to be doubling down on that as well. So
wow.
Yeah. Super exciting.
I'm just so impressed by your business growth. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, we like 10x our business in less than a year. And then now we hit 7 figures this year. So we're really excited.
Congratulations. Good for you. Yeah. You're in the 2%. The 2% of women who break the
7-figure mark.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
Not there yet, but we will be by December 31st.
That is my goal too.
Let's do
it. Honestly, when I heard the stat, which I heard from Rachel Rogers, she's the first person that told me about this stat. And I'm like, oh no. I got to be in that 2%. That's
it's so low. It's like, come on, y'all. We got to get it together.
We do. Because that's ridiculous. Like, and that's like my driving. I'm sure it's a big driving motivation for you too. The more women that we can get to make $1 million, like think about that, the influence that we can have by putting that money into the economy. I view my business like I started referring to it as a micro economy.
Yes. I love that.
Because that's what it is. Like the more money I make, I hire more women in my business to give them a way better life than they get from the way people treat them in corporate. I hire household staff. I pay them fairly, it's like a micro economy that we're forming and getting.
And it keeps on giving.
Yeah. And then it's like the hub, and then you have the spokes. Anyways, I could go on forever because I think it's fun, but
it is. I love it. And I think the more women that understand that concept, like the more that we can truly change the world. And it starts with, having more women have wealth. So I am 100% here for it.
Yeah, me too. All right. So where can everyone find you?
Yes, y'all can find me over on Instagram at Lattice Hudson. I usually hang out there. And then also inside of my free Facebook group, Elevated Women Entrepreneurs.
Awesome. We will link to both. And thank you so much for all of your knowledge and wisdom. I had a fun time.
Thanks, Monica. I appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Empowered Business Podcast. If you want to get started creating your own digital products and don't know where to start, we have a brand new training that can help. It's called 3 Secrets to Creating Digital Products That Sell Like Crazy. Head on over to empoweredbusiness.co/profit to join the free training now. See you again next week.